Yucatan. Muy buenos días, señoras y
Good morning, everyone.
señores. Rogamos a las delegaciones
We ask that delegations please take their seats so that we might begin this morning's session.
delegations kindly come to your places so we may start our session of this morning. Yeah. Señor Presidente,
Chair, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the session. We ask that delegations please approach their seats so that we can begin, and the audience members in the back of the room, if you could please keep your volume low so that we can begin. I have the honor of declaring open this special session of the Permanent Council, convened on the occasion of the inauguration of the Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Silence, please.
Recomeçando.
Let's begin again. I've already declared open this special session of the Permanent Council, convened on the occasion of the inauguration of the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, His Excellency Albert Ramchand Ramdeen, whose agenda, contained in document CP/OD-2551/25, we declare approved. It is so approved. Mr. Albert Ramdin, Secretary General of the OAS. Ambassador Maria Laura da Rocha, Secretary General of Foreign Affairs for Brazil. Distinguished permanent and alternate representatives of the member states. Mr. ASG, exiting ASG. Permanent observers, distinguished authorities and representatives of the organizations of the Inter-American System and other international organizations, family members, and people close to the Secretary General, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Permanent Council of the OAS, it's an honor to officially welcome Secretary General Albert Ramdin to the place which will be his home for the coming years, the House of the Americas. We have to recognize that the OAS has a history that includes mistakes and successes, but if it didn't exist, it would have to be created, as former Secretary General João Clemente Baiana Soares once expressed. It would have to be created because without it, we would have a region weakened in its abilities to face common challenges in the areas of democracy, human rights, security, and development. It would be a less stable region in which the use of force the argument of using force would prevail over the force of the argument itself, or the strength of the argument. The election of Secretary General Ramdin points in the direction of strengthening the OAS and its strategic pillars through dialogue, diplomacy, and the search for consensus, as well as observance of the commitments derived from the founding documents and international law, drawing the right lessons from the path of mistakes and successes with the courage to change practices that have proven to be harmful and replicate success stories that have given recognized results or acknowledged results. This is the formula for getting through the critical moment that we're currently going through as an organization, which is a challenging historical period. Secretary General Ramdin is certainly the right person to rise to the challenge. I don't want to put on your shoulders alone, Secretary General, a responsibility that is not just yours. It's something that we all share, the member states. The Secretary General, however, has all the conditions or characteristics to be a vector for unity and dialogue, not only because of his negotiating skills, experience, and in-depth knowledge of the OAS and the regional and global realities at play, but also because he comes from Suriname, a CARICOM member state that is also South American, with strong ties to all the Americas. This background makes him particularly sensitive and attentive to the most pressing threats to the well-being of our peoples: climate change and its devastating consequences, the scourge of transnational organized crime, hunger and poverty, the threats to democracy deriving from hate speech, particularly when it comes to the use of new technologies and digital platforms, the worrying trend of unilateralism and growing contempt for the rules-based order, as well as the multidimensional crisis present in Haiti. The Secretary General's task is no less important. His track record and experience reassure us that we have someone on our team who will know how to use the powers conferred on him by the organization charter. Prudence and wisdom are essential to regain and strengthen trust in the General Secretariat and should be reflected in decision-making processes that are transparent, based on dialogue, and therefore more legitimate and effective. We are convinced that the Secretary General will be able to bring greater momentum to the organization, contributing to its modernization, including the use of strategic management tools to eliminate waste and dysfunctionality accumulated over the years. We are confident that he will be an asset, facilitating consensus, opening new channels for dialogue, highlighting the practical importance of the principles enshrined in the OAS Charter, including, and this is of great importance, the sovereign equality of states regardless of their size, economic, political, or military power. And that he will tend to the needs of the people, that he will show solidarity with the most vulnerable, especially migrants, their families, the poorest women, children, people of African descent, indigenous peoples, the LGBTQIA+ population, people with disabilities, and the elderly. The member states will have to support these efforts, and so there must be a concrete partnership with the Secretary General. All the agreements already reached during Brazil's presidency of the Permanent Council show that it is possible to create conditions for understanding, especially at a time when we face uncertainties concerning the financial sustainability of the OAS, and we are going through a turbulent period characterized by increased political polarization and tensions in the region as well as throughout the world. We approved a historic reform of the Permanent Council's regulations, which will help to organize the work and guarantee more room for consensus, increasing predictability and legal certainty. We, the Permanent Council and CD, also adopted an agreement on mandate management, which includes renewing the validity of previous resolutions, including those that traditionally require greater negotiating effort, so that we can, during the next General Assembly, focus energies on the transition process and lay a foundation for an OAS that rises to the challenges of the 21st century. Mr. Secretary General, finally, I would like to assure you of the Permanent Council's unwavering support to forge a close relationship with this General Secretariat, modernize the management of the OAS, optimize its capacities, broaden spaces for dialogue, and generate results-oriented processes and decisions. His arrival gives us the opportunity to renew confidence in the OAS as a regional organization for political consultation and as a key instrument to overcome shared challenges. This is an opportunity that we cannot miss, and it must be reflected as well as renewed in our commitment to multilateralism and international law. There is great urgency. The challenges cannot wait. It is with a sense of urgency and responsibility that I allow myself to quote the great Brazilian writer Guimarães Rosa, who, in one of his classic works, said that the flow of life wraps everything up, and what life asks of us is to be courageous. Danke u wel, viel geluk. Thank you very much. I now have the honor of swearing in the Secretary General of the Organization of American States before this Permanent Council for the period 2025-2030. I ask that everyone please stand. Secretary General Alberto Ramdin, the The General Assembly, at its 56th special session, held in this city on March 10th, acting in accordance with Article 108 of the Charter of American States, elected you, by acclamation, as Secretary General for a 5-year term. By accepting this position, you are making a solemn commitment to the peoples of the Americas. In my capacity as chair of the Permanent Council, and on behalf of its member states, it is a great honor for me to declare Mr. Albert Ramdin sworn in as Secretary General of the Organization of American States for the period 2025 to 2030. If everyone could please take their seats.
Agora tenho a honra de
I now have the honor of inviting the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Albert Ramdin, to deliver his speech. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Good morning. Goedemorgen en dank u wel. With your expressions in Dutch. Thank you very much. Distinguished Chairperson of the Permanent Council, thank you very much for your kind words and for wishing us all the best. Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendes, thank you. Vice Minister of Brazil, thank you for being here. Distinguished permanent representatives, distinguished permanent observers, the President of the Inter-American Development Bank, other heads and representatives of institutions of the Inter-American system, heads and representatives of international and regional organizations, our distinguished staff members of the Organization of American States, my family present here today, and those watching this ceremony online. My dear friends and colleagues, welcome all and thank you very much for being here. And with your permission, Mr. Chair, I do wish to recognize amongst the distinguished guests here, especially two persons. One is our seasoned diplomat from the United States of America, who used to be at the helm of this organization, Ambassador Luigi Einaudi. Thank you very much for being here and for the collaboration. Thank you. And equally so, I'd like to greet and welcome a great friend of the institution for many, many, many years, the former Chief of Protocol of this august body, Anna O'Brien. Thank you very much. I'm honored with your presence, so thank you very much. Friends across the Caribbean and the Americas, ladies and gentlemen, today I assume the office of Secretary General of the Organization of American States with deep humility and firm resolve. I believe in the promise of the organization and the power and potential reach of our shared purpose. And yes, given current circumstances in the world, and in our own region, I may say, possibly we need to reimagine and reflect on the original purpose and the historical context of the noble ideals this oldest regional organization in the world stands for. That reimagination will inspire us to go back to what this organization was meant to be and to restore its stature. At the outset, I want to express my sincere appreciation to my predecessor, Luis Almagro, whose commitment to peace, democracy, and human rights must be admired. We thank Secretary General Almagro for his contribution to the OAS and for his leadership to create a better hemisphere. I also take the opportunity to welcome our dear colleague from Colombia, not present here, but certainly online, Ambassador Laura Hill, the first female diplomat to occupy soon the position of Assistant Secretary General of this august body. I look forward to working I and the whole institution look forward working with Ambassador Hill and also look forward to her effective contribution and active participation towards the goals which have been set for the organization to become more efficient and more effective. Friends, our Americas are a mosaic of vibrant diversity and history. From North America's modern cities driven by high tech to the Andes and the Amazon's natural majesty in South America, through the Caribbean crystal shores and cultural vitality to the deep roots of Asian civilizations in Central America. That is the diversity our hemisphere represents. We should never forget that. La fuerza y el espíritu de nuestro hemisferio residen
In our hemisphere, there are very many traditions that I acknowledge, and I am honored that the member states would trust so much in me. I accept this responsibility with a clear vision, one of a prosperous future, one of unity that we'll be able to build together. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do good by the peoples of the Americas.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take a moment to pay tribute at the beginning already to our own organization. The Organization of American States is not just an institution of governments or a system of very valuable specialized organs. In my view, it is the heartbeat of peace, regional cooperation, and unity in the hemisphere. In a world filled with division and discord, the OAS embodies the spirit of collaboration based on moral values of respect, equality, and opportunity. The OAS brings together governments, civil society, the private sector, and other relevant organizations from diverse backgrounds to engage in meaningful dialogue. Many have repeatedly stated that if the OAS did not exist today, we would have to create it as soon as possible. For its very essence lies in the ability to transform challenges into opportunities for cooperation and the betterment of the life in our region. The OAS is the proof, in my view, that united, we are stronger. In today's challenging times, the OAS stands as a beacon of hope, proving that through respectful dialogue and cooperation, we can navigate the complexities of our time. Creating a bright horizon for the whole hemisphere is a responsibility of each and all of us. Today, we stand at historic crossroads. We face unprecedented challenges, but also extraordinary opportunities to reshape our hemisphere with courage, cooperation, and conviction. From my decades of work across the Americas and as Assistant Secretary General of this organization, I have seen the best of our region, a resilient people fighting for their rights, for their freedoms, building stronger communities, creating prosperity through initiative and entrepreneurship, and advancing democratic ideals. But regretfully, I've also seen the other side of the truth, the hard truth. Democracy threatened. Parliaments and electoral processes under pressure. Rising violence and insecurity, inequality and discrimination. And the growing threat of organized crime and environmental change, such as sea level rise, especially for the small and vulnerable states. The OAS must rise to the needs of the hemisphere. We cannot be passive. We must be bold, relevant, and effective. Democracy, human rights, security, and development are not just our pillars of work. They are the heartbeats of our hemisphere. This organization must matter to the people of this region. The people of the Americas and the Caribbean must be informed about all the good our capable staff members are doing. The challenges we face require more than words. They demand cooperation, they demand courage, they demand action, and for that I rely on the cooperation of all of you, of all the member states. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, an active time it has been the last 60 days. Since you entrusted me with your vote of confidence on the 10th of March of this year to become the next Secretary General, I made it a priority to engage in active listening, thoughtful dialogue, and collaborative planning with a wide cross-section of stakeholders. There have been close to 150 engagements during this transition period with permanent representatives, leadership from the political and administrative bodies of the OAS, staff members across all the secretariats, officials from national governments, experts, civil society leaders, and representatives from the private sector and the media. This period of transition has been dynamic and illuminating. I received detailed insight in the financial standing of the organization, the programmatic priorities, and also the critical challenges before us. More importantly, I heard directly from those who live and work within this institution. These conversations were not merely part of a process, they were foundational and part of charting a new course. They sharpened my understanding, informed my strategy, and affirmed my commitment to shaping an OAS that is more agile, cost-efficient, responsive, and impactful. I'm grateful to all those who shared their time, perspectives, and expertise during this transition in a very frank manner. And I expect that we will continue our dialogue throughout my term. We will make sure that we listen to what is happening on the floor. Our compass must remain fixed on unity, peace, and opportunity. In my first year in office, I wish to focus on 4 key areas to strengthen the OAS and advance our mission across the hemisphere. These 4 areas are a much stronger, robust, and aligned internal organization, including synergy building, communication structures, an amended organogram, and a revised budget allocation process. All proposals requiring close engagement with the member states, because ultimately you will be the one approving of such. It will be up to us to convince you that this is the best way forward. Secondly, a more involved and impactful strategic media outreach program with roles and responsibilities beyond the Secretary General and that of the Assistant Secretary General, as well as actions in country and with the respective target audience. Thirdly, a better aligned and expanded external relations approach, including an updated resource mobilization strategy and a more efficient process of financial management, of programs and projects. And lastly, a result-oriented and action-oriented approach towards immediate needs and political developments in many countries, but such as in Haiti, and monitoring developments in Venezuela and other countries where elections will take place soon and where the OAS can make a meaningful contribution. So I'll give you some details about all the 4 areas. The first key area, I believe that to serve the people of the hemisphere, we need to be a solid, robust, well-aligned, united organization within. We have already initiated a comprehensive internal strategy to dismantle silos, foster collaboration, enhance communication, and streamline operations to increase overall effectiveness and efficiency. This process is still ongoing. This coming Monday, and subsequently the first Monday of every month, come rain, come snow and sun, these meetings will happen every Monday, first Monday of the month. Even if I'm not here, the ASG has a role to play. A cabinet meeting will be held, and we ask secretaries and department heads to do the same in terms of convening regular planning sessions. In terms of the cabinet, I think I will ask our colleagues who are going to be part of the cabinet here in the back and on the right to rise for a minute and show, then you know who will be working with me. Now you know also who you should keep accountable for the work to be done. Okay? Apart from myself, of course. Secretaries and departments have the instruction to do the same in their own smaller groups. These are just a few examples of many new regular engagements that will be implemented aimed at streamlining and aligning our programs and processes internally. While engaging with various departments, it became very apparent to me that many of the concerns that were raised were recurring topics. Not many are new. They have existed. Those concerns, processes, or grown practices, we will need to take a serious look at, and we will need to address them head-on, because it disturbs the process. We have bureaucracy, but we have also counterproductive bureaucracy. We all want a productive and purposeful team and should therefore facilitate job satisfaction, internal communication, roles and responsibilities, career perspectives, and growth of our staff as a priority. A duplication of efforts or overlap of certain areas is a result of the silos that have formed over time. We must build synergies between the secretariats. To facilitate this process, we will implement interdepartmental working groups in 4 areas which are of importance and in line with the goals and the objectives of the organization. The first one will be on the private sector. Second one on youth. The third one on the impact of environmental change in the many forms it presents itself, and on Haiti. And more may be identified in the future. Distinguished permanent representatives, I have an appeal to you. The General Secretariat workforce is one of the most important assets of the OAS, and I'm fully convinced they do a great job under difficult circumstances, but they do a great job. I think, first of all, we need to recognize that. Secondly, without them, we as an organization are nowhere. So the truth of the matter is that the lack of permanent human and financial capital, complex processes, are having a negative impact on the morale within the organization. I do look forward for the cooperation of the member states to address this adequately. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that we also need to better attempt to have an equitable representation within the organization. All issues which we need to work on, but I need your help in making that possible. From the same positive spirit with which you have elected me, I expect that you not only talk, but walk the walk and help us. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in the power of in-person collaboration, and we will explore ways to bring more of our staff together physically to foster teamwork and a renewed sense of unity and camaraderie. Yesterday, I attended the annual barbecue organized by the Staff Association. A great opportunity to meet, greet, and listen to the colleagues. And I don't make a difference between where you stand in the organization. Everybody has a valuable contribution to make. That is where I actually learned that we are all members by default of the Staff Association. So I'm a member as well. So when I need something, I will certainly have the Staff Association behind me. It's not a union, but it is something like that. These efforts are not just about processes, they are about boosting morale and motivation and shared purpose. They are about appreciating each other as human beings, interacting with each other, learning each other's cultures and traditions. And some initiatives in this regard will be taken as well, and we'll let you know what will happen normally on a Friday, where we have declared Fridays Casual Friday. Today, there's the first exemption. Otherwise, I would be here in a different attire. But we want to use that opportunity also to share with you the cultural outfits of each country. So this is just to make sure that we come closer together as countries, as people. Para transformar
to transform the OAS into a strong, effective, and efficient organization, we have agreed to a reorganization process for the end of June. This will bring us in line and our structure in line with the priorities and strategies that will make up the basis of a more agile organization focused on results. We are also developing an org chart that is coherent and clear and effective, that is based on the critical functions of the organization. This takes into account the recommendations made through the external evaluation made last year and the recommendations by member states. We have also identified areas of improvement in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. We will see these reflected in a new communication strategy internal to the organization and in the org chart I mentioned. The priority or the objective of these efforts will be to better optimize the organization and make it more effective. To do this, we will need high-level personnel in my office that will lead these important changes.
If we want to make this stronger, and we will have within my office a special unit directing that process. Con esta nueva estructura,
with this new organizational structure, budget allocations will be carried out in line with the OAS's priorities and in accordance with the goals of member states. The budget must reflect the reality when it comes to contributions from member states, permanent observer states, and other contributors.
los resultados
The results of this process will guide the draft budget for 2026, which we will present in October. It will focus on sustainability, accountability, and impact. And at the heart of those changes is a commitment to guaranteeing that the OAS is equipped both at a structural level as well as at a financial level and spiritually with our priorities. The external evaluation left very clear the notion that finances are at the center, and adequate financing, is absolutely key to the relevance and effectiveness of the organization in the long term. Without a stable financial base that is sustainable and diverse, our organization will not be able to complete its mandate or respond in an adequate manner to the needs that are ever changing within our region.
Use of this momentum to put on your agenda and suggest an honest discussion about the efficiencies of not only the institution, but also of the political bodies. If agreed to embark on such an assessment as member states, the following elements may be included, such as agenda setting, the duration of meetings, frequency, and outcomes. I leave it up to the member states to further discuss this, but I think it is important that we not only expect the institution to become relevant and efficient and effective, but also the political side of this institution. The second key area of focus for our administration will be media and outreach. To be impactful, the good work, and there's a lot of good work being done. I'm going to keep repeating that because there is a lot of good work being done. Must be shared, must be reported, it must be recognized by all. Only then can it be mirrored, expanded, enhanced, and be of even more significance to the American people. The larger the impact, the better results. The more exposure, the better perspectives on support, on collaboration, partnerships, and funding. Modernizing the OAS communications with dynamic content, multi-platform outreach, and participatory tools to boost citizen engagement is critically important. And as targeted campaigns are necessary to showcase the OAS real-world impact, we must work on that as well. But again, we need to work together. This is not only the Secretariat. I will ask in our media outreach, and that will happen much more intensively, but also through different channels, that we invite you to share with us your views on the OAS as permanent representative. And I hope it will be a positive narrative which you can share with us. We need to work together and agree on a way forward. I believe we will be able to make it happen. I have instructed members of the cabinet on mission or attending a conference to not only be there because they are attending a conference, but to do more within the time that they will be on the ground, to do more, to convey what the OAS is and stands for in terms of purpose, strategic goals, and results. We must engage with educational centra, universities, civil society, in country. We must bring the OAS and its institution closer to the people of the Americas. So that will be additional responsibility for each of the secretaries and the directors. Of course, with the necessary discipline in terms of the political context in which we live and the sensitivities it comes with. As I mentioned in my opening remark, our strength comes from our people, our diversity in culture, language, traditions, food, and spirits. We also will use different and more informal channels to increase knowledge and sharing of this cultural diversity we all represent. It is my sincere belief that we know too little, far too little about each other, history and culture and the country. We can do a little research on that, but you will see how little we know about each other. So in that context, several activities will be scheduled this year, including for now, and more will come, an art festival in early October with all member states. We will have an abbreviated version of the Celebration of Spirits of the Americas in December this year For those who do not know the Celebration of Spirits, it will showcase our culture, music, art, cuisine, and spirits. It is also a way to engage the private sector and stimulate entrepreneurship and bring member states closer to each other. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, none of these key areas can be addressed without having a discussion which, and this is the key, the third key area around financial sustainability of the organization and our external relations. I believe that there is an untapped well of external financial resources available if we can showcase the impact we are and can be making in the hemisphere. So I'm very optimistic about pooling more resources. I'm of the view that a renewed OAS, as we envision, that requires a solid, diverse, and sustainable financial foundation. This responsibility is shared by all stakeholders: member states, permanent observers, multilateral institutions, the private sector, and civil society, each playing a vital role in securing resources and partnerships necessary to strengthen our organization and amplify our collective impact. To achieve this, I'm committed to enhancing our financial foundation through improved management, greater operational efficiency, renewed trust, and strategic resource mobilization and allocation. We will actively pursue new partnerships across all sectors, including regional development banks, to confront the region's most urgent challenges head-on. I want to thank our current partners, especially the permanent observers present here today, for their continued support of critical OAS programs, advancing democracy, human rights, security, and development, and I will further strengthen and expand our engagement with them very soon. Señoras y señores.
Ladies and gentlemen, the private sector has a vital role to play in society, and it requires societies that respect the rule of law to prosper, where there is peace and safety for growth and wealth and well-being to flourish for everyone. We must contribute to create a context that is fertile for that growth, and this private sector can help us in that task. By marrying the power of convocation of the OAS with the private sector's talents, we can create a situation where we create sustainable existence, development. We should be in constant dialogue with civil society organizations and different sectors of the society throughout the region so that we can make sure that their perspectives enrich our programs and our own perspectives. We must also take advantage of technological solutions and experience and know-how from the private sector to improve our impact in the hemisphere. With that in mind, civil society also has much to contribute in guaranteeing social cohesion and justice throughout the region. Let's work with civil society to guarantee that every step we take, every response we have is to the measure of the needs of the hemisphere and in line with our own democratic values.
And civil society engagement is important, but also that with our international and regional partners. We need to strengthen our partnerships, our cooperation, and align our efforts. Regular coordination will minimize duplication, pool resources, and increase the effectiveness of our collective response to regional challenges. The upcoming Summit of the Americas can play an important role in facilitating such an approach and an aligned agenda for the Americas. This includes, and we started this already, in fact, on the 11th of March, I was very pleased to meet the president of the Inter-American Development Bank, the head of PAHO, and the head of IIGA. These are 4 prime inter-American institutions. We will have regular meeting. The next one will be on the 12th of June, where we will speak about further alignment in terms of the hemispheric agenda. But we will also start with a process of consultations with the sub-regional integration, political integration systems. Some of them known to all of you here: CELAC, CARICOM, SICA, the Andean Community. I believe it's important to work with sub-regional entities as well. And we have partners beyond this hemisphere. Those we will need to engage as well. The United Nations system. I will meet soon with Secretary General Guterres to discuss these, as well as the European Union and the African Union. Given the global issues we're dealing with, we cannot isolate ourselves to the hemispheric context, but to the global context as well, because the global context has an impact on what is happening in our own region. And the last key area is, of course, addressing the most contentious political challenges in our region. And we do have some of them. I won't go into detail on many of them, because I believe sometimes we need to take our time to get the best results. But there is one where we need to focus on, and that's the urgent situation in our sister republic of Haiti. To promote stability and dialogue where it is needed most. Nowhere in the hemisphere are democracy, the rule of law, security, human rights, and development more threatened than in Haiti. Haiti will be high on our agenda for the foreseeable future. To this end, the OAS will prioritize within its remit and the Charter provisions support for a comprehensive roadmap that addresses Haiti's immediate security challenges while also advancing long-term governance reforms. We will boost our partnership with other institutions, such as CARICOM and the United Nations, to help design and implement a robust framework that streamlines Haiti's political structures and promotes continuing political dialogue, enabling greater accountability, transparency, and effectiveness in public administration. This will include our support for the organization of a referendum on a new constitution, the preparation and conduct of general elections, and the development of a comprehensive security strategy to restore law and order. Recognizing the urgency of the moment, I'm announcing today the relaunch of the Group of Friends of Haiti. I am well aware that there is an existing formal working group within the political body, and we will work also closely with that initiative on Haiti. This new coalition of committed partners with Haiti in the lead will serve as a vital platform to share information, to mobilize international and regional support, align efforts, and ensure coordinated responses to Haiti's most pressing needs. Together, we will work to restore stability, rebuild institutions, and foster conditions conducive to lasting peace and prosperity for the Haitian people. The role, initiative, and leadership of Haiti and its representatives are critical in this regard. Given the urgent and complex circumstances in Haiti, the Organization of American States and its partners must act decisively to provide meaningful support to the Haitian people and institutions. The current transitional governance framework, as agreed upon, is set to expire on February the 7th, 2026. We do not have much time. This deadline presents both a critical opportunity, but also a formidable challenge. The OAS must help ensure that this transitional period culminates with a security level conducive to a legitimate, inclusive, and democratic political process that restores constitutional order, strengthens political institutions, and fosters long-term stability. Haiti can emerge from this transition with renewed hope and sovereign determination. In this pivotal moment, we must make Haiti a hemispheric priority. Distinguished Permanent Representative, you have given me your trust, and I am honored. And I ask you, based on that trust, for more time and space to prove to you that we can make a difference. And that will help us all to understand that this institution is a necessary institution, but that we need to take some action. Looking more forward towards the future, the region faces challenges which need to be as proactively addressed. Democracy across nations is under pressure, confronted by waves of disinformation, polarization, corruption, and economic instability. Violence and insecurity threaten lives and livelihoods, while transnational organized crime continues to test the rule of law. Environmental changes, migration, and inequality are escalating, creating vulnerabilities for the most marginalized groups among us, especially for the small and developing nations. For over 75 years, the Organization of American States has been a steadfast pillar of democracy, security, and development in the Western Hemisphere. From defending democratic governance in times of crisis to accompanying peaceful transition of power, the OAS has stood firmly with the people. Whether through electoral observation missions in over 30 countries or institutional strengthening programs, the OAS has helped ensure that the voice of every citizen is heard and that democratic values remain the foundation of our collective journey. In doing so, we have reaffirmed a simple but powerful truth. Democracy is not a luxury. It is vital to dignity, justice, and peace. And I like to add, not only to dignity, justice, and peace, but with that also to prosperity. Electoral observations remains one of the OAS flagship programs. Protection of electoral integrity is a cornerstone of democratic legitimacy. I had a fortunate opportunity, by coincidence, to meet with our observer mission just this week while casting my vote in Suriname this past Sunday. And on Tuesday, while en route, I was privy to the first report. This line of the OAS operations contributes to strengthening our democratic institutions, which are also susceptible to changing times and technological leaps. Like we need a strong OAS to implement the strategic objective, we need strong governments to address the many financial and socio-economic challenges countries face. Digital technologies, the widely used social media, and up and coming artificial intelligence can be a blessing, but also a curse. The negative aspects you are all aware of as they impact every society these days. But when deployed purposefully, these innovations can become catalysts for sustainable progress, digital security, and inclusive growth. It can also be a tool to reshape the region's economic landscape. One example is online trading. I believe that there is a role for us to play in this space. We can support member states to leverage digital transformation as a cornerstone for prosperity with strategic focus on closing gaps, building resilient economies, and creating a digitally inclusive future for the Americas. But again, here too we must act now to prevent falling behind the ever-evolving curve of technological innovation. Here again, we need to partner with the private sector. Our reach goes far beyond the ballot box. In the face of poverty, inequality, and the lingering effects of COVID-19 pandemic, the OAS has launched bold initiatives to uplift those most in need. Through technical cooperation, education programs, and the fight against poverty and exclusion, we have worked to narrow the gap between aspiration and the reality for millions. And we must ensure that this continues. En el área de seguridad y paz, la OEA.
In terms of security and peace, we have focused on disarmament and the promotion of human rights area. Our Inter-American Commission on Human Rights and the court have been voices of hope for those who, the voiceless. And they encourage governments to protect the rights of all. The OAS has facilitated dialogue at moments of profound polarization, helped to regenerate confidence in weakened institutions and combated organized crime, corruption, and cyber threats. Through tireless diplomacy and technical support, we have strengthened collaboration between countries. We've promoted a shared vision of the Americas as a region of peace and prosperity for our peoples. That highest of aspirations requires each of us here at the OAS in a renewed effort.
Concern, organized crime and drug trafficking pose serious threats to peace and stability throughout the Americas, placing a heavy burden on our societies. The OAS must strengthen regional tactical and operational cooperation and assistance, enhance drug policy frameworks, and implement evidence-based strategies focused on both demand reduction and supply control. By providing comprehensive training and technical assistance and fostering policy dialogue, we aim to empower member states to tackle emerging drug threats while integrating gender, cultural, and human rights perspectives. The OAS must continue to prioritize gender equality and social inclusion in its programming, as it aims to not only combat drug trafficking and abuse, but also to promote sustainable community-centered approaches to drug control across the Americas. Another issue, thematically more, is the issue about migration, which is not merely a statistic. The migration crisis is a tragedy. We will seek to foster partnerships with the private sector to create skills training centers and economic opportunities in communities where migration is prevalent. By investing in education, vocational training, and sustainable development, we can transform the narrative from one of crisis to one of opportunities, especially for our youth. Rural electrification and renewable energy projects have attracted more than $200 million in investments, boosting sustainable growth in Argentina, Honduras, and the Caribbean. The OAS has also been central in helping countries build climate resilience, developing safe building codes in 8 Caribbean nations and funding 25 climate resilient projects that have directly benefited over 15,000 people. While not a financial institution or a developing financing instrument, because of the relationship between peace, security, and prosperity, it is my view that we must include in the political discourse topics such as the impact of environmental changes, severe debt burden, financing for development, including the green funds, building economic resilience, and other aspects of development. Initiatives and proposals such as the Multi-Vulnerability Index and the Bridgetown initiatives must be taken serious and discussed in these fora. It is not always the challenge of democracy or human rights. In certain areas, the challenge of a future, an economic future, is often more prevalent. And we have to be cognizant of that fact, that the objectives, the goals, the needs of regions differ from one to each other. So, ladies and gentlemen, the path to a more prosperous future, to integral development, lies not in isolation, but in unity. It lies in the vigorous pursuit of intra-regional trade and investment, the deepening of integration, the unwavering commitment to cooperation, and the forging of robust, trustworthy partnerships. Let us first acknowledge our profound interdependence in our hemisphere. The challenges we face, economic volatility, supply chain disruptions, climate change, transcend borders. No single country, no single organization or entity can tackle these challenges acting alone. Our economies are deeply interwoven. What affects one inevitably ripples across the others. By recognizing and embracing this interdependence, we can transform vulnerabilities into strength, leveraging our collective resources and diverse capabilities to build resilience and sustainable development. This interdependence is amplified by the imperative of connectivity. Beyond physical infrastructure, we must foster digital bridges, streamline customs, harmonize regulations, and facilitate the seamless flow of goods, services, and ideas, as well as finance. Because of these realities, effective multilateralism has a purpose, and it is necessary in the interest of all. Enhanced connectivity means faster trade, greater efficiency, and expanded opportunities for businesses and individuals alike. It means bringing our communities closer, fostering understanding and unlocking the full economic potential of our hemisphere. A critical component of this vision is nearshoring. The global events of the recent years have starkly highlighted the fragility of distant supply chains. By spurring production within our own hemisphere, we enhance security, reduce lead times, and create jobs right here in the Americas. It is not just about efficiency, it is also about building a more secure and stable economic foundation for our region, fostering regional value chains that benefit us all. And finally, this pursuit of unity strengthens our collective self-sufficiency. This does not imply isolation from the world. That's not what I'm advocating, but rather a strategic reduction of over-reliance on external markets for critical goods and services. By diversifying our production, investing in innovation, and strengthening our internal markets, we can build an hemisphere that is more resilient to global shocks, more capable of meeting its own needs, and more secure in its economic future. Imagine an Americas where trade and investments flow freely and fairly, where innovation thrives through shared knowledge, and where every citizen has the opportunity to prosper. This is not a utopian dream. It is an achievable reality if we commit to working together. The OAS must lead in these efforts as a trusted broker in the hemisphere. It is imperative that we forge partnerships that last, and in doing so, construct a more prosperous, stable, and self-reliant future for all people in the Americas. Ladies and gentlemen, I count on all of you to strengthen our institutions that play a key role in maintaining democratic governance, foster political stability, public safety, and national integrity. This will be the best foundation for economic resilience, increase foreign direct investment and productivity, resulting in more jobs, more prosperity, and a predictable future for our youth. The policies we develop should be data-driven, and we need to set attainable, measurable goals and objectives. Where we need to adjust, I will propose to do just that, motivated and in the interest of the optimization of this organization. I believe that, for example, an efficiency analysis of the outstanding mandates in the OAS is in order. I look forward to the General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda, and later in the year, the Summit of the Americas in the Dominican Republic. I thank the two hosts, Antigua and Barbuda and the Dominican Republic, for their leadership and commitment to a more united and responsive organization and stimulate meaningful and substantive dialogue. This is a moment of transformation for the region. It is also a moment of possibility, a moment of action. In the words of Simon Bolivar, and I quote, "The unity of our people is not simply desirable, it is essential for progress," end of quote. In this new era of the OAS, let us be bold, innovative, and above all, united. Together we can build a future where democracy thrives, human rights are upheld, good governance a norm, and every person in the Western Hemisphere has the opportunity to prosper. I call on all of us to work together. I need input from all of you to make the OAS live up to what we have all endorsed, it to be a respected institution that is an honest broker in times of conflict, a facilitator of sustainable development and growth, and ultimately a contributor to the well-being of and peace for all citizens in the Americas. Let history remember. this moment not as the start of a new administration, but as the start of a new era. An era characterized by unity, collaboration, interaction, dialogue, cohesion, and to the betterment of the people of the Americas. The tagline for my presentation was, "Embracing a new era of unity for people, peace, and prosperity." I thank you all very much.
Muito obrigado, secretário-geral Hamdin, por suas palavras.
Thank you so much, Secretary General Ramdin, for your statement and for sharing with us your vision for the OAS in the coming years. Your call to strengthen a more united, inclusive, effective, and results-oriented organization for everyone's benefit, especially the peoples of the Americas, in addition to the member states, is an important commitment that motivates us to work closely together. Before closing the session, I would like to ask everyone to remain in their seats because the Secretary General will now go to each one of you to greet all those present. And we will be holding a reception and where we will pay homage to the Secretary General. The session is now closed.